Welcome to the Why Not Real Estate Podcast, where you will learn top strategies from world-class real estate investors, both large and small. Why not? Tune in and get started today.
There's wreckage that is created through financial illiteracy, right? Lost relationships, missed opportunities. Those are things that I regret. I wished I'd had the skill sets and the knowledge that I have today. So, my then 8-year-old son didn't have to go through his parents divorcing. My relationship with my mother was never good. Just being the fabric, right? Your fabric of relationships getting ripped. I regret those things. I wish that things could have been different. But on the flip side of those regrets, they all became fuel, for future endeavors.
What's up, all my real estate peeps? This is Brian Lucier with another episode of the Why Not Real Estate Podcast, where we believe multifamily is one of the hottest real estate markets in all of the different avenues of real estate investing. And today we have a really funny guy. I can't wait to get him on the show. I've known this gentleman for over 15 years. Boy, time flies. So our guest today, he is a retired 16-year veteran of the fire service, and he launched his real estate career during the last market crash, rapidly becoming one of the country's top multifamily investors. He is considered a leading expert in the commercial multifamily space and ground-up BFR development transactions. His success in business and real estate put him on the radar of A&E Television Network, as well as multiple news organizations like CBS, ABC, CNBC, and Fox News. His show, Flipping Boston, aired on A&E channel for multiple seasons. This gentleman is a no-nonsense investor with zero tolerance for inefficiency and speculation. This gentleman has helped accredited investors on their very first deal, as well as guided some of the largest investment firms in the nation through very complex transactions. My guest today has a blue-collar attitude in a white-collar world, and this is why so many investors seek his advice and want to invest alongside him at his firm, Freedom Venture Investments. Ladies and gentlemen, all of my real estate peeps, it is my pleasure, guest, and here he is, the one, the only, Mr. Dave Seymour. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey, Brian. Hey, man. I get such a kick, and it's not my ego. I get a kick out of listening to that introduction because I think to myself, this guy sounds like he's going to be good. I wonder what he's going to say, right? It's like I don't identify with achievements, right? I seriously, a blue collar attitude in a white collar world. I think, my God, that guy sounds so smart. Let's listen to what he says. He sounds smart. And then I'm like, Dave Seymour. Oh, he's talking about me. Buddy, how are you, man?
I'm great. And to the intro, I get that reaction a lot, and people are blown away what they hear about themselves. But I got to say, Dave, I mean, this is all your story, and this show is going to be all about you. So wherever you want to take it, I'll follow the rabbit trail. And really, really happy to see you. You look great. I don't think I've seen you in about 10 years.
Yeah.
Where on earth are you today, Dave?
Yeah, I'm still in the Boston market. I mean, we met through a mutual multifamily investor and educator. And, I never moved too far from New England, in the Boston market, but all of my acquisitions, development, and work is in Florida, right? Quick story, right?
Sure.
We're real estate guys. And as real estate guys, sticks and bricks to us is an investment, right? So there's, 6 figures in equity in my primary residence. And I go running home one day to my wife, the beautiful mother of my two sons, who are both now, one's 14, one's 12. My oldest boy's long gone, Robert. He's out in the big world. But I go running home. I'm like, honey, I got great news. This is good news. I bring joyous news. She's like, what are you doing now, you whack job? I'm like, honey, we're selling the house. We're going to Florida. I can buy 1.5 times houses with just the equity in here. It's an investment. And she starts crying, and I think they're tears of joy. And they're not tears of joy. She's like, we're not moving. The kids are at school. I love my yoga studio. We made a deal. We made a deal. I go, what deal? You knew what you were marrying when you married me, woman. What deal? She goes, you get everything going on the outside. I control everything on the inside. I'm like, all right. That's the closest fight we ever came to. So anyway, thank you for bringing back that memory. I now have to go back to therapy again this week and try and process that one more time. But yeah, I'm still in New England, to answer your question.
Well, what do they say? Happy wife, happy life, happy girl, happy world, and happy man, not the plan.
Not the plan. Not the plan, for sure. She's everything, though, brother. Seriously, I've said it from stages all over the world. She's the rock that I get to stand on so I can look cool. You know what I mean? Like without that foundation, forget about it. Nothing matters. So it's all good. Yeah.
She's doing a great job because you look awesome today. So
thanks, brother.
If it's okay with you, we're going to roll right in. I mean, we can see the fire hat on the wall there, but I'm going to ask the question for those who don't know you. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what you used to do before real estate?
Yeah. So the accent's a little bizarre. I know I went with the full-on Bostonian accent there for a second, but I'm an immigrant to the States, Brian. I came over from England back in '86. Long story short, I try and be respectful of everybody's time, but I came from England to America with my first wife. She was an American, and I came over on a fiance visa, and I didn't really know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but it seemed like a good idea to go to America. And I came to the States and I moved around a little bit. I don't hide this part of my story. For the first 3-4 years in the States, I was pretty much gripped in alcohol and drug abuse. And I got out of that. I got sober at the age of 23 years old. I just picked up 34 years without a drink or a drug back in January of this year. And, I bring that up because it really is a part of my journey. It's a part of my story. I can't deny it and say it's not relevant to everything else. The tenacity of the alcoholic, if you will, like the lengths I would go for a drink. When I got sober, I turned that over into, being the best I could be in any environment I was in at that moment in time. And, a friend of mine said to me, he said, why don't you try out for the fire department? And I'm like, I don't know. He goes, dude, it's a good job, good career. You get family retirement plan, and you get to see some crazy stuff and do some crazy stuff. And I was probably 7-8 years sober when I took the test, and I got on the fire department, and I loved it. I mean, I freaking loved it, brother. I really did. I loved the fire department. I loved the camaraderie. I loved the chaos. I loved the contrarian environment. You know what I'm saying? Like when everybody else went running out of a burning building, we go running in. Then I went to medic school and I got my paramedics license. And medicine, I loved medicine. I loved the fact that, grandpa's circling the drain. He's in some kind of tachycardic heart rhythm. And I got to open up that box in like 30 seconds, pick the right one, pick the right dose, make sure you get it in a vein. And you know that you can reverse whatever was going on in that moment of time. So, the reason I bring that up is because in the fire department, frontline working in the city of Lynn, Massachusetts. And if you know Lynn, Massachusetts, it's not one of the higher end communities. It's not Marblehead, right? It's not Brookline. But being in Lynn, you got to see what a true emergency was. So as my career in real estate developed later years after that, what some people would perceive as a career-ending failure or oh my God, what are we going to do next moment? I could rely and reflect back on what a true emergency was, and it gave me some leather, right, to my skin, like a thicker skin. I found that a thinner skin in this business is a little dangerous, right? You got to have a little attitude. You got to have a little swagger. You got to be able to take some lumps and bumps. But anyway, the fire department was where it was at me. I spent many years there, but with me from England, I bought a blue collar attitude, in the sense of the only way to make money was to trade time. And I didn't know anything different, really. And I didn't know how to manage money. I didn't know how to leverage money. I didn't know, right? All I saw was money coming out of my check every week for a retirement plan, the government version of a 401 chaos plan. I don't care if it's insulting anymore. I made my breaks, right? I was just a sheep. I was a sheep in a herd, right? Everybody was going in that direction. I went with them. I didn't ask questions. Everybody was buying new cars. I didn't ask questions. I got new cars. Everybody got to have a house. I got a house. Yeah, you got to have this. You got to do that. You need new this. And MasterCard and Visa became my very best friend. And at the age of 30, 33, 34, I was over $70,000 in unsecured debt. It was during the crash. I was losing my house. I was working about 120 hours a week, Brian. And fire department full-time, construction full-time, trying to run a business. I was the business owner who was the last one to get paid. So there wasn't a lot of money coming from that either in construction. And then I worked retail security as well. And that cost me another marriage, brother. It really did. You can't be a father to a child or a husband to a wife. Just a dark time, man. Really dark time. Closest I ever came to picking up a drink in 34 years. But I loved the fire department. It was so hard to let it go. It was so hard to figure out what I was going to do next. And I was just telling this story in a church of all places a few months back. I'm screaming and shouting at my God. I want to have a little conversation with him. I'm like, what's up, dude? I don't lie, cheat, steal. I'm trying to do the right thing. And everything is just going to crap. It's bad. It's not good. I need a little help. And I turned the ignition in my truck, my F-150, and a commercial came on the radio.
Here it is.
Teach me foreclosure, a free 1.5 hour seminar. You're heck of the woods. And I'm like, what? Really? Is that it? And that's how it started, man. That's how it started. I went to it was the old Russ Whitney organization. There was Carlton Sheets, then there was Russ Whitney, right?
Yeah.
And
he had a really nice.
What's that?
He had a really nice mustache.
Yes, he did. He did. Mary Beth and I went to our first class, and I remember we were so broke, Brian. My wife, I met her, she's a nurse. I met her in the labor and delivery room at Salem Hospital. I was a paramedic in training. She was a labor and delivery nurse. That's where we met. And she looked at this perceived journey of real estate investing. She had zero experience in it. And she said to me, is this the answer to our financial problems? I said, I believe it is. I'm listening to people who are saying things they haven't heard before, and it's beginning to make sense. When they say other people's money, I can understand what they're talking about. When they say there's, you're of service, people first, profit second. You go in and you help somebody. You help even a 50-unit apartment complex managed by an old ethnic couple from Italy or whatever. Giuseppe and Maria have been managing this thing for 25 years. They don't know what they're doing. You can help people. I said, it makes sense to me. And she was the first one to give me permission to really go lean into it, lean into, what the future could hold instead of what everybody else told me it was going to be. I was in a position to create it. And she said to me, go get him, killer. She said, I'm proud of you and I love you and I'll support you in whatever you want to do. And it's been a roller coaster, it's been a heck of a journey. But that's where it started, man. I'm a product of the seminar world.
So your number one influence was turning on Silverado University, or no, it was Ford University.
Ford University, yeah.
Hear it, and there was a spark there. Something happened. You and your wife got on the same page, and she supported you 1,000%. Were there any other influences other than that infomercial or radio commercial that along the line may have said, hey, maybe real estate might be something there?
Yeah, there were a lot of influences. I remember I believe God's got a plan, Brian, right? And there's some seeds that are planted along the way. And if you're ready to watch something grow and pay attention, the messages change, right? They've changed even as I've got older. Maybe you resonate with it. It's like as we mature, the messaging and the processes change, like the voices that we listen to change. But I remember, hearing that commercial, and I was getting flashbacks to the investors that I had met while I'm digging ditches, right? I'm on a post hole digger on a job site or an auger with a couple of my South American friends trying to dig 4 foot down to the frost line in January in Boston because I got to build this deck because I got to make and investors would show up. And I remember saying to one of the guys I was working with, I'm like, who's that? Who just rolled up in a BMW in, fancier clothes and drinking Starbucks instead of, Dunkin' Donuts, and, their clothes are nice. And they're smiling. People don't smile. Who are they? Right. And the guy said, no, they're the investors. They bought the house. We're fixing it up, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, investors? And I remember this one local guy, I pinned him down on a job site and I just peppered him with questions. And I hope he's not listening to this. The odds that he are very slim, but he was the dumbest smart person I ever met. Like he wasn't that brilliant. He wasn't that brilliant. He gave me the basic formula for flipping a house. He said, well, we start with the after repair value. In this case, it's 500. Then we deduct the profit first. How much do you want to make? 5-10% of the after repair value. I'm going, okay, so that's 50 grand at 10%. I could do this math. And then he goes, well, then you got the construction costs. I go, well, I can figure those out. I'm in construction, 100 grand. So, now we're down to 350. He said, and then there's some carrying costs and the cost of money and stuff like that. So throw another 10% in there. He said, that's how much you can pay for a house. I looked at him, I went, that's 5th grade math, bro. That's 5th grade mathematics. He goes, can you do that? I go, yeah. He goes, and can you sign your name? I go, yeah. He goes, do some real estate. And I thought to myself, that can't be true. It's not that easy. But then I fast forward, right? And I'm sitting in these classes. See, now I've got skin in the game, Brian, right? We invested up to whatever it was. My career back then, I think I was probably 25 grand in money that I didn't have because I knew I had to do something different. And it began to click. And then because I was now in the education space, it's like look at all those books behind you, right? Yeah. Each of those books, somebody has said something to you or you've received some information, says, I would like to learn more about that. And one of the other influences for me was Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Secrets of Success, and The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. Like, I love that philosophy. I think there's a massive amount of really good business information just in our faith scriptures, right? Be it the Bible or, some of the other scriptures that are out there. There's some good stuff in there if you look for it, right? So all of that was influential. But, I remember sitting in the fire department. I'm probably in the first year of this new career. I'm still working at the fire department. And I was listening to a Jack Canfield DVD. Remember those, right? You used to have a DVD player attached to a computer or whatever. But anyway, I'm listening to this DVD and it was talking about belief, right? Replacing fear with faith, leaning into it, getting the reps in, right? Practice. And I'm sitting there and I go, you know what? I'm going to just throw it out there into the universe. I want to meet Jack Canfield. I want to hang with this guy. I like him. And I always kept that like in the gray matter. fast forward TV show, little national notoriety. And I think I was in Philadelphia. I was speaking in front of a group, maybe 500 people or whatever. And a woman comes up to me afterwards and she says, "Hey, I really enjoyed your talk." I go, "Thank you for that." She said, "It was inspirational." I said, "I appreciate that." And I said to her, I said, "Who are you?" She said, "Oh, I work for a development guru, educated guy by the name of Jack Canfield. I'm his personal assistant."
Hello,
I'm like, really? Right? I said, "That's good." I said, "Does Jack still do, one-on-one coaching? Does he do any work?" She goes, "He hasn't done that in years. He doesn't really do it anymore. Every now and again, he'll do a one-off, but only for, exceptional people. Well, you don't have to, all you got to do is crack the door a little bit." I showed her and told her how exceptional I was. And, 3 months after that, I'm on a plane out to California, and I hung out with Jack at his house for a day. And it was wild, man. Yeah, it was 20 grand. It was one day of coaching. I think it was money well spent. It's funny. I walked into his living room, Brian, right? And he says, "My assistant said you're exceptional or you're special or whatever." He said, "What can I do for you?" Dude, I just started crying like a baby. I'm just blubbering in Jack Cavill's living room. He's like, "What's the matter?" I go, "You already did it for me. You did it for me when you told me that I could be somebody. You did it for me when you said all I had to do is lean into it. You did it for me when you told me there were secrets to success." I'm like, I spent 20 grand to cry on this guy's couch. It's awesome. He cried, I cried. It was a great day. It's good. So yeah, there's been a lot of influences. Oh my God, I got to stop talking. This podcast will go on forever. You're up. Short turn. What
No,
about you?
this is your show. This is all about you, and I love that. And for folks who are listening, I mean, if you didn't catch it, there was a change in Dave's mindset. He went from
Mm,
digging that
mm,
hole, the fifth grade math, and that was the moment. It's like, wait a minute, yeah, I could do that. The one
yeah.
secret sauce in that, and you hit it with the Jack Canfield quote, is you believed in yourself.
Mm-hmm,
And I
mm-hmm,
think that's
mm-hmm.
the turning point. Anyone who's watching this show, they
Yeah.
can look up your website and say, "Oh my God, I could never do that." But I mean,
Yeah.
you had to buy your first deal, and everybody has to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. My first deal was a wholesale deal, Brian. It was $5,000, 5 grand. And I'm like, I remember coming out of the attorney's office. And this was when they said you couldn't wholesale bank owned properties during the crash, right? And I got some education, and then I implemented the education that I was given, which is what 99.9% of people don't do. Actually implement shit, right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
got a check for 5 grand, and I knew it was real because it came from an attorney's office. And I swear, it was almost like I looked at 5 grand and I thought to myself, how many hours do I have to put in at the fire department? How many hours am I away from my family? How many hours am I fighting with my wife to try and make things work because I got to be away from my family and I got a check for 5 grand? I'm like, holy shit. And I remember stepping out on the sidewalk. It was 7 o'clock at night. It was dark, New England, dreary winter in October, I think it was. And I got this shit. I remember stepping out on the sidewalk and I'm like, I know the cops are going to show up any minute. I know. There's no way this could be real because it felt so alien to me. And I actually called it a shut up check. And it was a check I could show to everybody who said I couldn't do this. And I showed the check. I said, "Shut up. See, I did it. Right. I did it." Because once I did that, that was it. That was it. Sometimes you just need that one time. Because if you do something once, nobody can ever tell you can't do it. And I just never quit. Just never ever quit. I never gave up. Never gave up. I used that firefighter mentality to just smash my way through it if I have to. I don't carry a lot of finesse, but I carry a shit ton of tenacity. You know what I mean? So I just kept going. Yeah, kind of cool.
So that $5,000 check was priceless.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect.
Is it just
Yeah. Perfect.
like the curtain
Yeah.
came open and
Yeah.
you could see where you were.
Yeah. Yeah. Small seeds, brother. Small seeds.
I'm going to spin the time machine here now. So
Yeah.
this question has two parts to it, and I always enjoy this one. So how many years you been rocking this world, real estate?
So that was 2008. So we've got 14, 15 years.
Okay, so 15 years. So there's two parts of this one. If you could go back in time,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to you starting out? And then I'm going to flip the coin. If there's someone seeing this for the first time today on the fence, what advice would you give to a newbie starting out today? We'll start with you.
Those are great questions. And that's not a new question, and the answers to it have changed over time as well, right? So, 15, 16-year-old Dave, if I could go back to the guy who made that check for $5,000, I'd tell him, go hard into cash flowing assets as soon as you can, right? Don't get me wrong, buying a house, fixing a house, and flipping a house, incredibly profitable. You systematize that, 10, 15, 20 houses a year at 25, 30, 40 grand a house. Not a bad living. However, that's work. If you don't fix the house, you don't get paid. I waited probably 3 years before building any kind of cash flowing portfolio, starting with 2 fams and 3 family properties and working my way up over time. There is something incredibly magical about cash flowing assets, right? Warren Buffett says, if you don't learn how to make money in your sleep, then you're never going to reach your goals. So my advice to that guy back then would have been to get into it sooner. Do I have any regrets? No, I have a fantastic life today. But, more is not always better. I like a little peace and harmony, and cash flow can do that. For the person listening to us for the first time, I'm going to say now what was said to me in my first class, right? If you believe you can and you believe you can't, you're right. Right? That was Henry Ford. If you believe you can and if you believe you can't, you're right. Martin Luther King said, taking the first step without knowing where you're going is the definition of faith. And I paraphrase, and I apologize to anybody who knows it exact. But, the first step on the staircase. So often people will deploy contempt prior to investigation. That doesn't work. What doesn't work? X, Y, Z. How do you know it doesn't work? I don't know. So what is all of that? What is all of that resistance about for the person who has yet to do anything in any business, be it real estate or anything? What stops them? And it's always the enemy, bro. It's the enemy within. It's fear. It's that thief. The thief of fear that steals dreams over and over and over and over again. There are billions and billions of dollars of fantastic ideas in the cemetery. There are only very few out in the real world. What's the difference? Some leaned in and gave it a crack, and some didn't. So, with that being said, the magic that I experienced, and I know you did too, was we didn't have to do it on our own. I didn't have to go out and reinvent the wheel. I found people who had skills, right? Mentors, coaches, friends. And I paid for those services. I paid for that experience. There's nothing more valuable, in my opinion, than paying for somebody else's failure. It's just a beautiful thing to do that. You and I could swap failure stories, for weeks on end and smile about them today. We probably weren't smiling about them when we were in them, Brian, but we can smile about them today. But the magic then is that if somebody wants to experience some of the successes that we've had in our careers, they can buy our failures. They can listen to your podcast. They can read one of the books on the shelf. They can read The 7 Secrets of Success by Jack Canfield. They can, learn the mechanics of a real estate transaction. So, I would say to the guy sitting on the fence, or the girl sitting on the fence, stop it. You know, you're sitting on the fence, that fence post is going right up your rear end, and that hurts. Get off the fence, right? Get off the fence. Come over here and give it a run and see what happens. You know, what have you got to lose? A little bit of time. We're all losing time every day, but so that's a great question. That's kind of how I would answer that today.
Every single one of those suggestions you just said require someone to take action. It's to set aside that fear, believe in yourself. Okay, you
Yeah.
cannot believe you can do it today, but that first step of faith. Take the second step. Take the third step. Take the fourth step. Pretty soon you've walked a mile. Pretty soon you've walked a day. Pretty soon a year, a decade. And you know, that's the funny thing about the growth like this. Where you are, you never really perceive where you came from because you're always where you are. But if you take a moment and, you know, consider that gap in the gain, where you think you want to be and how far you've come, that's, you know, I don't want to say get comfortable, but you can give yourself a little bit of peace. You can give yourself a little bit of, you did this. Now, what's right? What's next?
Celebrate every little win you have, man. When it's interesting, whether it's societal or cultural, or I don't know what brand to put it under, but it's like, you know, celebrating wins doesn't seem to be the norm. And if I get a nice win, if I've busted my rear end and I've overcome the challenges, I want to enjoy that. My wife celebrates. She's the one who says, "I love you, baby. You did it again." That's all I want. And when I get upstairs to the big guy, I just want him to tap me on the shoulder and say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Right? You did as I asked you to do. You went out and, you know, shared your knowledge. Right? Shared some good plans. So it's not hard, but starting is difficult. Right? Guy said to me one time, and I never forgot it. He said, "Dave, you can make excuses of progress. You can't make both.
Yeah.
You decide which, you know, what you want to do from there." So I've tried to focus on progress rather than excuses. And I had a teacher one time, and her name was Amy Jenkins, a fiery redhead from Flower Mound, Texas. And they called her Mama J. She was a sweetheart. She still is. She's still in my life today. And Mama J, she was teaching it was a lease option class, I think. And there was a lot of resistance, man. A lot of people doing yeah, but no, but, and, you know, wanting to confront the teacher. They weren't, you know, some people just aren't teachable. And she got kind of pissed off. And she said, "I'm sick and tired of everybody finding excuses." She said, "and excuses are born out of fear. Fear of success and or fear of failure are the two major successes." She said, "So I'm going to do a little something for everyone in the class." She said, "and then we're going to move forward from here." She said, "You are not too old or too young. You are not too fat or too thin, rich, poor, black, white, male, female, smart, dumb." She said, "Whatever that is that somebody said to you one day that stole your dreams and told you you couldn't do something," she said, "Mama J standing in front of you right now, and she's telling you you can. So if you trust and you take the first step with us, I promise you things will change for the good." And it was almost like an hallelujah moment. It really was in the classroom. You know, the spirit was strong that day. And it was like, yeah, I get it. I get it. You know, I was never meant to be where I am today. I grew up in the projects in the south of England in a council house that was made out of bricks. It was less than probably 700 square feet. And we had little to no money, but we got by. I wasn't supposed to be sitting, you know, in a beautiful home in the north of Boston. And, you know, it wasn't supposed to be that way until it was. And I recognized the signs and went after it. And I'm not special, brother. I'm not special. I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired and needed to do something different, you know?
Sick and tired.
So it worked out.
Tired. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I would say to all that, why not? I mean, why set up those limiting beliefs on yourself? And you know, yeah, I'm going to celebrate having you on my show because you're near and dear to my heart. I know you're a freaking rock star. I know that you motivate people, and I'm just floored to have you here. So
I appreciate you, man. So good. Now back at you.
I appreciate you right back, because I know that you're going to make a difference for somebody else who needed to hear this today. So thanks. That's
yeah. That's good
so
stuff.
we're going to keep rolling here because I know I only have so much time with you. So let's turn the page here. I'm going to ask you, what was the best deal you ever did? What type of property was it? How did you find it? And how did you finance it?
Yeah. My best deal is not my best deal because of the money that was made. I think for me, the best deal I did was, first of all, it came from a friend of mine who went to a 3-day class. His name was Mike. And he went hook, line, and sinker. And because he was my friend, he was always texting me, is this real? Is this work? Can we do this? Can we do that? And then he was out looking for abandoned houses, and he found a property, and it belonged to a couple who lived in Vermont, who were raising their granddaughter because their daughter had gone to the dark side and was using and abusing drugs and alcohol. And the daughter had abandoned this house in Massachusetts and had let it just go to shite, man. It was horrible. She had just abandoned the house. My sellers own the property. Mike gets to talk to him a little bit, get some of the story. Broke my heart. And I said to Mike, I said, I'll pay you the wholesale fee, 10 grand for finding the deal. I said, I'll let you stay with us through the deal so you can see how it works out, how we take a house that was, without exaggeration, Brian, there was 3/4 to 1/4 of an inch in some places of black mold throughout the house because she'd abandoned the property full of furniture, full of everything. Like your backdrop that I see, all your books, think of that just all being abandoned, and now it's in every room, right? Furniture, toys. And she abandoned the house, frozen pipes burst, water flowed for 3-4 weeks. Fire department kicks in the door, shuts it off. Anyway, long story short, we talked to Alex, the seller. I run the numbers and I said to him, look, you still have a mortgage on it. You owe Bank of America, I think it was maybe 100 grand, I can't remember. You've got back taxes, 20 grand. You owe the city, all these fees that the city had put on the property, another 20 grand there. I said, I can't give you a profit on it, but I can definitely take your challenge away. If I can do the deal and just have you walk away, maybe a couple of grand in your pocket, would that work for you? This guy broke down crying like crazy, Brian. So I've been praying every day that somebody would help me. He said, yes, let's do that deal. So we did that deal. So Mike makes $10,000. I save the financial stress that this couple's going in while they're raising their granddaughter. I can't remember, maybe 150 into this house, sold it for 460, 470 to a single woman who was raising her child on her own, give her a beautiful home. And the company walked away with, I don't know, we made $69,000 on that property. It was in Peabody, Massachusetts. So that was a deal that I'd never forgot because of the amount of people that it touched. Now, if you want to talk about the worst deal I ever did, well, there's a few of those out there. Which one do you want to pick? Here's the one thing I will tell you. I've never lost money in real estate. And for that, I'm proud. So there isn't a worse deal in that sense,
Before we jump to another deal, I just want to cover the bases here. So you found it through your friend Mike. You got him in the deal. You affected so many people's lives. You solved so many problems. That's one of the reasons we do this. How did you finance it?
How did we finance that one? Private lender. Private lender made, I pay him 8.5%, 9%. I did over $200,000, I think it was, in renovations and carrying costs. But when I go, baby, go, right? I was in and out in 3 months. And, my lender was stoked. So it was financed with a private lender, and I think a little bit of my own capital went in for some construction costs. They want to see skin in the game.
So,
That's how we financed that one.
so on the exit for that, was that straight to the sale, or did you put conventional lending on to pay off the lender? Was it three?
No, I went straight to sale. The market was in a position. 2018, I exited that deal. So sorry, January 2019, I exited that deal. So the market was strong. There wasn't a huge amount of inventory. I didn't have to mess around. I have a system for selling, just like I have for buying. And the buyer ticked all the boxes with my mortgage broker. So it made sense to do the deal, and we got out. Yeah.
What you just said was gold, that you have systems for buying and for selling. So that's, I've been hearing so many people on the show right now, so many investors keeping their gunpowder dry, looking for the next 12 to 18 months before the commercial starts to turn around and all that. So many people come on the show and say, now is the time to fine tune your operations and your systems, because once the market turns and you get busy, you're not going to have to.
Yeah. No, for sure. And that dry powder, by the way, is already coming into the market. I bought in over 3 mil in the past 30 days alone, with more commitments coming in. So the money's flowing. The deal flow needs to be there to support it, obviously. But my family offices are like, dude, take my money, please. So it's a good time right now.
It's going to get better. It's good.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you would like to tell one of the good bad stories, or bad good stories, however you want to wear that hat on there, I'd be happy to.
I'm going to give you the first deal I ever screwed up. And this was a deal because I was early in education. I'm overly enthusiastic. Long story short, mail campaign. Woman owns a house in Beverly, Massachusetts. She lives in Maine, out-of-state owner. Has a tenant in there that's been in there for 20 years. Not a great tenant, right? Low rent, not a hygienic person. Long story short, I'm going to do the wholesale thing. And I had a local builder come look at this property, and I told my seller I was going to have an open house and have a couple of guys come over and give me some prices for repairs. She loves me. We sign a contract, vesting to be determined at the time of close, because I want to wholesale it. And she gives notice to her tenant of 20 years that she's got to go. And I take a deposit check from this builder who's going to take the house from me and give me a wholesale fee of $4,000, whatever it was, $5,000. And, he's going to step into the contract. And all he did was screw me, dude. All he did was screw me. His check bounced. He didn't follow through and do anything he said he was going to do. I'm running out of time. I can't find another buyer. And I've got to go back to this seller and apologize and tell her I can't do the deal. And she's like, well, I evicted my 20-year tenant. What do you mean you can't do the deal? I never forgot how that felt, and I never forgot how the words that we use as investors are taken as gold for a lot of people, right? If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I learned a valuable lesson that day, to trust but verify. And I never would have let the deal get where it got if I'd have known what I know today. Obviously, those are, like I said, those are the failures that we now have systems and check boxes to make sure we don't ever get sucked into a trap like that again. So that was a shitty feeling, Brian. That was not a good day at the office. That's the one that could knock you out of the game, if you have a conscience. So yeah, that was a tough day. That was a tough one.
So how did that one ended up? You just gave the contract back?
I had to give the contract back and make a commitment to myself to never, ever be in that position again for me. And then as I got to be an educator down the road, if you've ever seen me teach anything around the wholesaling world, I slam these assholes that are out there. Don't worry about it. Just sign the contracts. Control the deal. You know, they're out there, man. They're out there. They don't give a crap about, you know, the people on the back end of every piece of paper that we push around. And you know, for me personally, I do. It's like today, man. You know, you take a check from somebody and they're like, "Hey, don't screw it up, Dave. You know, that's my retirement account." You know, you know, you could go, well, you're signing the piece of paper that, you know, you're an accredited investor and you acknowledge that you can lose every penny. No,
No,
no, shite for brains. No, no, we're fiduciary. So, you know, that's, you know, everything I think, I mean, every step we take in this business creates a history, right? It creates a history. It creates, in the medical world, you know, the repetition creates synapses in the brain, new pathways, new memories, right? So that when I am in a situation, I'm in a negotiation, you know, whatever it is I'm doing, whatever marketing messaging that I have out in the marketplace, you know, I say often to my team, you know, are we on brand, and are our actions in line with our intentions? Right? Are our actions in line with our intentions? What history are we bringing from past to present to project the future to be, you know, consistent, as successful as we can be? Have we boxed out the corners to reduce risk, right? Risk adjusted investment opportunities. You know, have we done the work? And if we've done our work and we can lean in and step into these deals with confidence, and be able to sleep at night, then, you know, it's a good thing. But, you know, I've experienced the other side of it. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. You know, so yeah.
good stuff. Good stuff. And thank you. Because you know, you're bearing your heart and your soul here, and you're sharing the
Hmm.
the not so pretty side of all this, which I think is important for people to hear too. So great segue here. What's the biggest hurdle you've had to overcome as an investor? And how did you solve it?
You're not going to believe it, but it's confidence. It's self-confidence. It really is. It really is self-confidence. It's not listening to the inner dialogue that says I can't. I don't just preach it and teach it. Like I experience it myself. It's not something that's solved, that goes away. You know, when I look at you know, we have about a $350 million portfolio today that we are, you know, massaging and manipulating and working and building and entitling, and, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. So I think it was our mutual friend who said one time, it's just zeros, right? It's just zeros, zeros in, zeros out. Remember, he used to say that? And I never really understood what he was saying back then, but I do today, right? It's just zeros. And for me, the biggest challenge to overcome is recognizing it is just zeros, and then recognizing that everything has a process to it. And if I can stick to the process, then the results have a high chance of success. But if I consistently deviate, and try to reinvent and bring my own artistic flavor to the scenario, then, you know, I'm exposing the opportunity for risk. So for me, I try and keep my ego in check. I don't believe my own press. Kind of takes us full circle to the introduction, right? Yeah, it's a reality. One could say, yeah, you're a rock star, but, you know, I'm the same as everybody else, right? I get up in the morning, I say a few prayers. I say, you know, let's go at it, big man. Let's do good works today. Let's see what today will bring, Father. You know, and if I can stay that course and I get out of my own way, I tend to be more successful. But that's the toughest hurdle, man, is listening to the bullshit in my own brain sometimes. Be it, you know, you can't do something, or you're so good at something nobody can beat you at it. Like staying in the lane, man. Staying focused is one of my biggest challenges.
And that
That's a
sounds
great question.
that sounds
Yeah.
day to day and never really goes away.
Yeah, yeah, you stay at it, man. You stay at it. You can't. I can't. I don't know about anybody else. I can't quit. I can't. I was talking to my oldest boy one time. He's 28. He's getting married this year, and I was telling him in I can't remember the context. It was like, when I retire, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And my boy's like, Dad, you're full of shite. I'm like, what? You talk to me like that? I'm your father. He goes, no, Dad, you're full of crap. He goes, you're not the retiring kind. You know what? And he's not. And without being corny, you love what you do. It's not a job, right? I
Yeah.
love what I do. I love the challenge. I compete internally with the challenges, but I still love them, man. I still love them. I'm flying down to Virginia tomorrow. I'm going to be speaking at an event with 300 to 500 people in it. And, there's internal dialogue, a little fear. Oh, 500 people. But once I go, baby, I go. It's like you step into it, lean into it, and so we'll touch some people's lives, God willing, just like we will with this podcast. So, I have faith in that today.
All right, I'm going to keep turning the page here, and here's the analogy. Was there a book that had the biggest impact on you as an investor?
There's been a number of books, and again, they've kind of changed with maturity. I like today, just because of where I am, probably one of the most influential books is The Influential Mind by Tali Sharot, Sharot. And she talks about the science of the mind. And the reason I like that is it answers a lot of the questions I've had about me and my life, but it also gives me some really, really great tools in negotiation and sales, to be frank, right? We're always selling. So, the law of reciprocity, and, people will run more towards they'll run less away from fear than they will running towards some kind of reward, right? People like to live in the world of rewards rather than, so many people sell on fear. If you don't invest in our multifamily deal, you're going to get chewed up by an inflationary marketplace. Well, that's fear-based, right? So what if, when investing in multifamily real estate transactions, you get the massive advantages of tax strategies that very, very few people have been able to enjoy. You probably haven't enjoyed them yourself, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, because you've consistently been in a high earning W-2 environment, or even as a business owner. What would it be like if we could potentially reduce your tax exposure by X amount of percent? Now, I'm not an accountant, I'm not an attorney, everybody's different, but right, that's so I learned a lot of these things from exploring, the science of the mind. Tali Sharot, Sharot, The Influential Mind. That's a really good book. And then like I said before, I love the old classics, Think and Grow Rich. I like Rich Dad Poor Dad. That just pissed me off once I started reading that.
All right, unpack it. What was it?
Dude, I've been lied to my whole life. You know what I mean? I've been lied to. I love my father. I don't love the advice he gave me, right? I don't love the example he laid down for me. There's nothing wrong with working hard, but I don't want to work hard for somebody else. I don't want to fund somebody else's dreams, And when you start, and Kiyosaki's a grumpy old bastard. Let's just be frank. But he tapped into something at the right time. He really did. Again, I'd like to see if he could check his ego at the door. But if you can not kill the messenger but listen to the message, there's a good message in there. Velocity of capital, leveraging capital, good debt, bad debt. All of the things we learned, the 4 quadrants, et cetera, et cetera. Once I started hearing that, I'm like, now I know what you guys were doing when you pulled up to that job site in a nice car. You know what I mean? So it connected some dots. Yeah, Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. what you think about, you bring about. Just good stuff, man. Like I bought into that. Where is she? She's got to be on that shelf.
She's right over there. I
There
got
she is.
audio.
Yeah,
Audios.
yeah. Is
Silverado.
that a Tim Ferriss book right next to it too? That's a Tim Ferriss book on that shelf as well.
I got
To the
4
right.
Titans and 4 hour work week. I'm halfway.
Yeah, that's the 4 hour work week. I recognize the cover.
I don't know
Yeah,
if you're familiar with the 4 hour body, but I'm digesting that one hard right now.
yeah.
You can't see it above me, but I've gone from 300 pounds down to 186. Not because I'm
Wow.
sick or anything, but because I'm doing the hard work. That's it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm with you, dude. Through COVID, buddy of mine said to me, "We're going to come out of COVID. What are 3 ways?" He said, "A hunk, a chunk, or a drunk." Right. So I'm 6'2". I've always been a big dude. So I was banging around 250, 260. In the fire department at the height of my career when I was working out and stuff, I was still 260, 270, but there was some muscle attached to it. And I said, I can't keep doing this. And it's like you flip a switch, right? Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? The same thing with food is as much of a drug as anything else. So for me, I dropped, I'm down to like 215, 218 now. But I just, paid attention to some carbs. I try to work out. I fail miserably. But I'm a lazy guy. I mow the lawn myself because it's a workout. And then I go sit in my hot box in the sauna for, an hour, sweat the rest of it out, and then jump in a freezing cold shower. And my body's like, what the hell are you doing? But, weight falls off. So I'll take it.
Yeah, just 2 or 3 degrees. It adds up
Yeah.
over time. Your trajectory
Yeah.
lost 30, 40 pounds. That
Yeah.
counts.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's
Yeah,
real.
for sure. For sure. My wife loves me a little bit more too.
Not touching that.
No.
Okay, so you exceeded my expectations. I usually ask for 2 books. You gave me 4. So that's
Yeah. I'm an overachiever. I don't know what to tell you.
awesome. Then I got the right person on the other side of the glass here. That's great.
There you go. There you go.
So here's the curveball I always ask my guests, and I'm always thrilled by the answers. I always learn something here. This was not on your script, so this is a bit of a surprise for you, unless you've watched another podcast and know what's coming. What question did I not ask you today that I should have asked? What pearl of wisdom that I didn't dig for?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of an open book. It's like, regrets are always a good one, right? What do you regret? What has happened in your life that you wished hadn't, right? What regrets do you have? And for me, there's wreckage that is created through financial illiteracy, right? Lost relationships, missed opportunities. Those are things that I regret. I wished I'd had the skill sets and the knowledge that I have today. So, my then 8-year-old son didn't have to go through his parents divorcing. My relationship with my mother was never good. Just being the fabric, right? Your fabric of relationships getting ripped. I regret those things. I wish that things could have been different. But on the flip side of those regrets, they all became fuel, for future endeavors. So that's a good question, man. What should I have asked you that I didn't? It's so good you use that, because I use that at the end of every investor call I do. I say to my investors, is there something I should have asked you that I didn't? And then reciprocal, is there anything, you should have asked me that you didn't? And then I can, paint a bigger picture if they didn't ask me the questions that they needed to ask. It's good stuff. It's good exploratory. Tells a lot about somebody, I think, when you ask that question.
I really appreciate your answer. And yeah, I carry my own demons and dragons.
Yeah.
And those regrets that you turn that around and see those as fuel is so important, because anyone who's suffering right now, watching this, saying, I want a better life, it's those painful moments, those that you might be in right now, that are really going to be that fuel that get you off your.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. And it's not easy when you're sitting in it, Brian. Let's be honest, right?
no,
It's not easy when you're sitting in it. But
it hurts.
you know what it is? It's a four-letter word that isn't used that often, and it's hope. A little bit of hope, a little bit of faith, application and action, creates change. That's the plan. That's the plan. Good stuff.
I'm loving this. I want to keep going and keep going, but we're almost to the end here. So next page here is what's next for you in real estate, and why not get started today?
Yeah. So what's next for us in real estate is, I alluded to it. I've transitioned from those single family homes to multifamily assets to, large development projects. So for me, I've got a 106 unit building Cape Coral that I'm doing right now. I've got another 75 unit in Cape Coral that we're doing. We focus on workforce housing, not Section 8, not palm trees and swimming pools. We build housing for the people who need it in Florida. It's so underserviced and undersupplied. It's ridiculous. Cape Coral alone is shy 10,000 units through 2027. So I want to build as much as I can, as fast as I can. So that's a whole new world. I'm more in the private equity space, and real estate is the vehicle that we move capital through and in and around. So we continue to build that out. Our company offers fixed income funds. It offers syndicated assets. It offers fund structures, longer term plays, 7-10 years, 3.5, 4 equity multiple targeted returns. So I work in a pretty high stress area. I deal with a lot of egos. If I got $1 for every time somebody told me he who controls the gold makes the rules, I wouldn't need to be invested anymore. It's just somebody who doesn't have a deal to put the gold on. So I spent a lot of time in that world. So that's what's next for us. And we just continue to expand and grow with that stuff, man. I mean, it's a blessed place to be. But it's, it takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of details to be able to execute these things. But I'm excited to watch this particular project come to fruition. We've had some challenges with it, man. GCs who went a little rogue. When a GC starts going rogue with a $19.6 million construction budget, you gotta be able to pivot and keep the ship on course. But I love what I do. It goes back to that. I love what I do. So anyway, yeah, that's what's next. And what was the other half of the question? I forgot already.
Well, it was, why not get started today? And you never left it. You're still there.
No, there is no reason to not get started today. What else are you going to do? Right? What else are you going to do? I would say numbnuts, but that wouldn't be polite. But what else are you going to do? Right? Whining and complaining and it's Biden's fault. No, it's Trump's fault. No, it's not. It's your fault. What do you have control over? What can you do? So, why not get in the game? There is no why not. Again, you make excuses or you make progress. You can't make both. It's as simple as that. We live in a world where resources are absolutely everywhere. So don't tell me you can't find an answer.
I got to connect the dots. You may already know this, but me hearing it, my observation, your best deal where you helped and affected so many people and touched so many lives, fast forward all the way to your 106, 75 unit for those people that need those houses between 20 and 7. Not much has changed, just the zeros.
Yeah.
Your heart,
yeah, dude.
Your heart's right there, right where it was back on that first deal.
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
help many families.
Yeah, that's so good. I was one of my business partners, a young gun, kid by the name of Eric Wilson, same age as my oldest boy. He's also getting married. Actually, he's getting married in a couple of weeks, though. The kid's super smart. His fiance, gorgeous. She's such a sweetheart, such a great woman. And he took his fiance to the job site, and she hadn't seen it. And she stood there, and she had that epiphany. She had that moment. She went, "Oh my God." She said, "Look at all the contractors who are working, who can pay their bills and feed their families." She went, "The investors who are getting outsized returns on their capital. It's in sticks and bricks. It's not in paper assets. It can't be manipulated by anybody. They get a great return on their money, outsized returns." She said, "And then you give clean, decent, affordable housing to the people who need it." She said, "Real estate's pretty cool." And when Eric told me that, I said, "Do me a favor," because I know how smart he is. I said, "What is the economic impact in Cape Coral on 106 units?" And there's a formula that they use, that the retail value of the asset. So once it's stabilized 36 million, we build it off for 26. So 36 million. You take that 36 million and you multiply it by 4. That is what the economists say is the economic impact positively on the community in which we put, housing in. I don't know about you, dude. That's a game changer. Drop the mic when you hear stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's true. It's still people. We're in a people business. Real estate just is the vehicle that we move.
You throw the stone in the pond and it creates ripples. You throw a boulder,
ripple effect.
it creates waves. You're creating.
Yeah, it does.
So
Yeah,
cool.
tsunami time. Yeah, tsunami time, baby. How sweet
Not
it
here,
is.
but maybe over there.
No. Yeah, not where you are.
No,
Not
no,
where
no.
you are.
I
No,
can,
no, no, no.
but not that deep.
Yeah.
So let's see. One last question, and this is the first time I ever asked this one, but I want to put it out there in the universe. What's the challenge you have in your business today?
People.
Okay.
People. Human beings will always let you down. People management is always tough. If everybody just did what they said they were going to do, life would be perfect, right? So having good people management systems in place is the biggest challenge in my business, for real. Yeah, it really is.
Sounds like you
it's
have
tough.
that.
Yeah. Look, it's like I alluded to. Contractors who don't do what they say they're going to do on the timeline that they do it, they don't see the repercussions in that. They don't see the downstream challenges for return profiles, for GP promote, all the stuff that we live in, right? They don't see all of that, but it's not their fault because they live 9 to 5, right? They get paid every Friday. So, how do you continue to motivate and bring people into the bigger picture without alienating them from the amount of zeros in the game, right? So it's a shell game. It's a shell game. The bank's not going to pay the draw because you took too long. Well, what do you mean the bank's not going to pay the draw? You think I got the money in my account, dude? I got a $2 million wire coming in today, and that 2 million's coming in. It's immediately going right back out again, right? These guys don't understand the movement of capital and how it works. So, it's consistent appreciation is what keeps them moving. And it's not always money, but you got to figure out how to manage.
So you bring to mind a story. You ask a guy who changes tires, "What do you do for a living?" He says, "I change tires." So you ask another guy, does the same job. He says, "I make cars safe for the families with their children that ride in that car." So your GC, your contractors, they don't care about that $2 million wire, but maybe they care about that family that's waiting for that house. Have that Thanksgiving dinner, that Christmas meal, that anniversary, the birthday party. That might be the thing that might heart. I mean, it's a people relationship business, but in everything, can you touch the heart?
I learned that a long time ago. People first, profit second. And those can't just be words, right? Because some people just verbalize that and they don't follow through with it. You know, I try and stay as true to that as I can. And everybody in the chain is important, bro. From the guy who's sweeping up at the end of the day to the family office that wires $2 million.
Yep.
So everybody's important. There's no hierarchy in that sense. But we're all, I always say, are we all rowing in the same boat, fellas? Because if we're not all rowing in the same boat in the same direction, as soon as somebody starts going the opposite direction with the oars, we're screwed. We gotta be going in the right direction. So get in my boat. That's what I tell them. Come on my boat. It's good. It's good over here.
That's perfect. So to get in your boat,
yes.
How can our listeners find you? How do you want them to reach out to you? How do you want them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, look, man, I'm old school. I actually have a phone number, 781-922-4418. 781-922-4418. That's my office line. Tell them you heard Brian and Dave shooting the breeze on a podcast, so I know where you came from. And then what is it that you want? Are you a passive investor looking to put capital to work? We can help you. Do you want some education? We can help you. Just ask questions, man. Those that seek shall find. Those that ask shall receive. Knock on the door, it'll be open. So you can get me on the blower. Dave at freedomventure.com is a good email. Or Google my name. You'll find the LinkedIn page. LinkedIn is always good for business. I like LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just punch in Dave Seymour, Seymour. You'll find me there. So, you can find me. The tax man does, so I know you can. You know what I mean? It's all good.
Well, we'll definitely put all that in the show notes. This is going to be on YouTube. We're working on getting the audio podcast going, but I really like the YouTube. It's nice to see the people.
Yeah, no, I like it too.
Dave, so great to reconnect. You look awesome.
You too, brother. Good stuff.
So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the end of another show. My guest, Mr. Dave Seymour. Dave, any last words?
No, get in the game. Stop looking. Stop watching, right? There are three kinds of people. Though, how does this go? Those that watch things happen, those that make things happen, and then there's the third part. Those are the ones that turn around and they go, what happened? Don't be the what happened person, right? And don't be the watcher. Get in the game, make some stuff happen. Good. Thanks, brother.
All gold. Well, thank you so much, Dave, for gracing us with your time. Really appreciate it. And for all my real estate peeps, this is Brian Lucier from the Why Not Real Estate Podcast, signing off, and we'll see you on the next one.